You might have been.
Yeah, but just watching it on TV, seeing this, it's at night, and you see this desert, and you see fires in the desert, and then you see all these rockets and just getting shot over, and you see them shooting like fireworks across the sky and blowing things. It's like, what is going? It was the wildest thing. It was like, this is the end of the world, you know? Really
if you watched Iraqi TV, they showed the camel trebuchet trying to launch camels at ships.
Come here! Let's go, give me a flipper!
All right. Welcome to episode 73. See, I'm keeping track now.
Are you on?
Ever since 69, I know where I'm at.
You had 10 69s in a row.
I orient myself after 69.
Yes.
That's where I get my bearings.
Yes. Once the 69 happens, then you just kind of go about your day and get...
Well, it's like you shake stuff up and then things, line out a little bit. Anyway, so today, which is Sunday, I don't know when I'll put this on the internet, but today is Sunday, and we had the final part of Football is Coming 6 tournament.
The final part?
The final part was the second day.
Day two?
Day two. A couple of games. I'm here at Brick Oven Pizza in Lumberton, Texas with Troy.
Hey.
With Walt.
Hey.
And with Aaron.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Aaron got very Hispanic with that.
Very Hispanic.
So I guess we'll talk about how this tournament went first. Troy, we don't really have to go game by game, but what were your takeaways from the teams?
Takeover obviously was the best team out there.
Yeah.
They had a fantastic game with the Expendables in day one.
42-43.
That was a heck of a game. The last play of the game, the Expendables had a touchdown pass caught, but it was bobbled in the back of the end zone, and he caught it as he fell out the back of the end zone, so that
he was out.
So he was out. So the 409 boys won the game, or 409 Takeover won that game, which put them into the championship on day two.
Yeah.
But I thought the Expendables were the second best team.
Probably so.
Yeah. Then the Herd, just still getting their feet wet with the young guys. So
we are new Lucas playing quarterback.
Lucas Powell playing quarterback. Looked really good in our second game. The Herd won the second game against Primetime. Primetime went 0-3 in the tournament.
They seem like they had fun though. Walt, you talked to those guys, the guys on Primetime. It seemed like they had a good time.
Yeah, I think they had a really good time, and I think that they learned a little bit and learned that they need some people, and they look forward to playing, from what I understand, into the fall season?
The fall league?
Yeah, fall league.
Okay.
I think they had, as halfway through the game against us, in the second game that they played, they put in a different quarterback, and he actually moved the ball down the field and was pretty accurate, made some good throws, so I thought that was a good change for him. He doesn't look like a quarterback.
Right.
But he played very decent quarterback. I thought that was a good change for them. That could be something to go forward on. He looks like a flag football quarterback. So that was a good, So, and then on championship day, the Herd destroyed the Expendables. What was it, 40-0?
It was an exponential.
They couldn't stop us at all.
Trampling.
We trumped them.
We trumped them.
They couldn't. They just couldn't handle.
We did much more than
they just
normal.
left. They almost. It was almost like they didn't show up.
Yeah.
So
we can't even report the score because it was so
bad.
Lopsided.
So bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the Expendables had no clue what to do with us. We just killed them.
Yep.
Just killed them. So
it was like we played nobody.
Yeah. Almost like it's like the
Walt said that it's like they were cardboard cutouts.
Like the final fight scene in Blazing Saddles. Anyway, the Takeover and the Herd played in the championship, and obviously Takeover just destroyed us. Like I think 38-0, something like that. It was no contest. They're just the best team right now in this league. So
I think they are right now, with the group of people they have, better than the Jack Boys were when they stopped playing.
I think so too. They are as complete all around as can be with their offense.
I think TT, Torian Lott, is maybe a better quarterback than JC, but I don't think it's easy to determine that. Like I think with the people JC has, he's got some real talent. Like JR, running the ball is really hard to stop. The other, I don't know, 12 people that they play with that we can't pull their flags are awesome. It's not a real big hole anywhere in their team. Now, when they played the Expendables, they got lazy on defense.
Yeah, they couldn't stop them in that second half, but neither team stopped each other. I don't think, maybe once apiece, but that was it.
Do you think it was more what the Expendables were doing, or that TakeOver was getting lazy?
I don't know. I thought it. I mean, I thought it was two good teams that were just making plays. I didn't see them as being lazy. I just saw them as Expendables making plays on the field. I mean, that's how I saw
they have
it.
a bunch of athletes. I mean,
Yeah.
they're very fast. Trey Green can play quarterback and can get really accurate. Josh Hall is kind of a freak of nature. And Robert Gerard will run right through someone who's 4'11".
I saw that. But that team has just been improved all year long. Like TakeOver, you know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
They're going to be as consistent. But, I mean, Expendables just keep getting better every season. Just every time they go out there, they're better every time. So that's fun to see.
Okay. Aaron, do you have any remarks on Football is Coming?
I think the Herd's starting to put some of the pieces together with their younger guys. They're starting to learn the system. If they can get their quarterback out there and maybe even do a dual threat kind of thing with where you have a secondary quarterback, that would be a good system for them because they got the arms to do it. I think Primetime's got a couple pieces they can put together. It'll be fun to see them in the fall season, so that'll be good to add some to the ranks. And then, of course, you know, Expendables, they're always good. They're even better with Green coming in when he wants to play. And then, you know, JC and his team, I mean, bunch of veterans, bunch of good athletes. I mean, there's not much to say other than they do what they do, and they're good at it.
Yeah.
So,
Walt, anything?
I mean, I think, you know, looking at this tournament, you know, it's a hot tournament. You know, it's really hot outside. I think that as the older we get, because we're not spring chickens, it becomes...
Aaron's still a spring chicken.
Yeah, Aaron may be a spring chicken. But it becomes really hard to play in this heat. I mean, it's hard for me limping around out there. And so I think you're getting some people who are moving. You know, like I'm going to wait till the season. So the competition level, I think you had a lot of people sitting on the sidelines waiting on the season, saying, "Hey, we don't have anything more to prove, and we want to keep some wear and tear down on our bodies." And I think that was a combination of what this tournament was. But for the Herd's bringing in a lot of new people, and the diehard JC Doucettes and Herms and stuff of the world want to get out there and play some flag football.
Well, there you go.
I also think Troy needs to stop throwing interceptions and dropping
Troy or
passes.
Boy,
Yeah, he had himself a bad day. So that was, I don't know. The next time I see him, I'll have to tell him that. So.
For anybody interested, at 8 p.m. This evening, we're going to throw the pity party for Troy at Madison's. We have a room reserved. Free drinks for all.
Yes.
Then Troy will go ahead and, in fact, if you didn't order a drink, Troy will go ahead and hand you one, even though it wasn't supposed to be yours to begin with.
8 p.m. tonight. Be there.
Yeah, be there. And ask for Bill Peterson.
Yes.
He's organizing the
So
event.
whenever you hear this, be there.
I thought it was Carl Durr.
No.
Carl Durr does not organize events, sir.
He would, yeah.
Carl Durr's a hitman, and he.
Technically, if he's a hitman, he doesn't organize events.
Aaron said technically, if he is a hitman, he does organize events, which
But
is
that's
true.
through contract. He has to have a good contract, good solid contract.
Do you think he's more of a hitman or a fixer?
I feel like he's more of a fixer.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the mustachioed prince does something, and
Does he
he's
have a
like,
mustache?
no, not Carl Durr.
I got you.
can't.
He's
We can't go
we
there.
can't even mention the
No.
mustachioed man. Okay,
There's
gotcha.
certain things I won't go there. But Carl Durr's like, he receives a phone call, and he's like, "I'm on it, boss," and then it's taken care of.
There are two people we don't talk about. It's that man, the mustachioed man, and the false prophet.
Well, for anybody listening to this, I'm I'm extremely sorry, because I'm sure you have no idea what we're talking about. But if you'll stay tuned for the second segment, I have a question this time
Oh.
that Troy will be compelled to answer, along with Walter and is Aaron short for anything? Oh, okay, he said Aaronal. Walter and Aaronal.
Aaronal?
No, it's just Aaron.
Do you go by anything shorter than Aaron?
Air.
That's longer.
All right, stay tuned. We'll be back.
No.
All right. Welcome back if you went away, which would be weird,
Welcome back.
to Amateur Hour, now sponsored by the Camel Trebuchet. Yeah.
Branded. It's branded very well.
Selling dozens by the decade. Yeah. So in this
Very
segment,
popular in the Mideast.
well, we have access to, yes, in the Midwest. I always thought that it was weird that it was called the Middle East. Like, what an egocentric bunch of assholes we are that we're like, you know what, that's the Middle East. Like, the Middle East of what? Well, you know,
That hemisphere.
the world? I
Middle
mean,
East of the world. Like,
you couldn't call it the cradle of civilization or like where stuff started. No, we're going to call you the Middle East because the central part's where we are.
yes, exactly. We are the central part.
And, you know, the Midwest in the United States is really the Middle East. Ohio,
Yeah.
Michigan.
It is the Mideast.
That's the Middle East.
Central America.
I don't know. Anyway. So I have usually in this segment, Troy has a question. The last question was ultra political. And I cried a little.
It was very divisive.
It's super divisive. For all 12 people to listen to this, 6 were on one side, 5 were on the other, and one person
The one
couldn't make a
normal person
decision.
was in the middle.
Yeah.
One normal person.
So my question today is, I kind of got to give y'all a little bit of backstory. I had a conversation with a good friend not too long ago about high school football, and I'll try to make this just a general question. So it's a thought experiment. It's not, you can't really make it a real life thing, but it's a thought experiment. If you have a senior player who's a quarterback and a sophomore player who's a quarterback, they're both equally talented. You will expect the same results from either one of them. Which player should start week 1 and play the rest of the year? Everything else equal. One's senior, one's a sophomore. Which one should play?
Okay. So, my opinion, if you're going to get the same results from both of them, you're going to start with the senior.
Okay.
No. Has the senior been the starting quarterback before?
No.
Okay. Now, okay, that changes my.
No.
Changes that.
Each player, this will be their first year as a starting quarterback.
Okay. Then I would probably start with the. Oof.
Now, I'll say this, though. The senior has been a quarterback and a backup quarterback, but also has played other spots. But this will be both of their first years starting at quarterback.
I would start with the senior just so I know I have a little bit of more maturity at quarterback. The sophomore would end up getting a lot of playing time, and would probably end up taking it if the season depends on how the season is going. If the season is going negatively, you're probably going to
Sure.
go with the sophomore
Yeah.
towards the end of the season. If it's going positively, you know that sophomore's got 2 more years to play quarterback, so you're probably going to ride with that senior.
Okay, so all things being equal, let's say somehow you know this. Your season will turn out however it would turn out starting either one the season. You would say start the senior.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because you don't know how your season's going to go. It's
Oh, I
just
know.
hard
I know.
It's hard to say that. So
I'm just trying to control for all other
I
factors.
say you start
and-
with the senior for the leadership, for the guy that's been with you for 4 years, has been playing. You start with that senior, and then just ride with that hand there until you need to change. I think you periodically give that sophomore some plays, and then like I said, it just depends on how it's going, how you'll go. You reward the senior who stuck with you, I think, at first. Now, if you're at a point to where you see that the senior can only take you so far. Like the beginning of the season starts, and you see he's limited. We're only going to get so much. Let's try the sophomore. I know what I'm saying, like, but you don't know what you got from the sophomore. So even if they're equal, you need to at least say, okay, we can only go so far with this senior. Let's try the sophomore.
Right.
So even though he may play the exact same and be exactly the same, you have a little more hope because, okay, he's going to grow from this. The senior probably can't grow because that's it. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So
Okay.
I think you still start with that senior just for, unless you just don't like him, unless you have a
Okay.
unless you have a styles class and you don't like the kid's just not a kid you want out there. Maybe he just doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't
Now,
fit
in
your
this,
mold.
though, they're the same. You have two clones of each other. One is simply sophomore, and the other's a senior.
I'm still
Go senior.
That's my response.
Okay. Walt?
Well, I'm going to totally disagree with that. So here's what I think. Basically, I think culture will tell you start the senior because it's his senior year and it's more of a nostalgic thing. He'll never get to play high school football again, and this other kid's a sophomore. I think is one of the arguments you made. He's got 2 more years. But if I'm looking, it depends. If I'm the head coach making the decision, is that what the thought process is? I'm the head coach making the decision. I'm the athletic director saying, who are we starting? I would say, and it sounds selfish, but I say you go with the sophomore because this year is you're getting 2 6'4" quarterbacks with equal arms. Everything being equal, but everything's equal this year. The sophomore who gets playing time, a full season of playing time, will be better as a junior, and then will be better as a senior, even better as a senior, having 3 years of being a starter. So I guess my outlook is more of a long-term look, and if I, and it is selfish because I don't think like if I was the head coach of P&G, Viter, Needlander, and things being equal, I don't think I would do that to a kid. Because it is something special to be able to play high school football. But if you're looking at just the nuts and bolts of it, and if it was a business, but it's not, it's high school football. To me, you would look at, and you could say it's a business because the coach is going to get paid based on his performance and whether they extend his contract, and nobody likes if you can't win. So I would there's a strong argument or case to be made for a sophomore to start the sophomore.
Okay. I like that.
I'm going to add to
Okay.
it as if you're the coach. Say you're the first year head coach. This is your first year there.
Right.
We'll go through a couple scenarios. So say you're the first year head coach there. You have no allegiance to any person there. So do you start the senior to make everybody say, okay, good, he's trying, he's rewarding this kid who's been there for a long time, or do you start the senior to kind of say, okay, I want the community to see that I'm going to reward this kid who's been there for a long time, who's been playing his whole career and has never started. I'm going to reward the senior. But you still have no allegiance to either one, or do you come in and say, well, the senior's going to be gone next year. I want to grow with this sophomore who's going to get me to the next level, and then you maybe you alienate some of your fan base who have been said, well, look, he's not starting the senior. Why isn't he? Isn't he better? Why not? That's what the people will see. So how do you do it as a new first-year coach? But if you're a coach that's been there for 10 years and you don't start the senior, what does that tell? And if maybe you're kind of winning and losing, you're not, What does the community say? Well, he's not starting the senior. What's he doing? Why is he starting this young kid? Does he want to win? Maybe they have something. Maybe that happens. Or he just says, I'm just going to do what I want. This is my team. I'm going to do what I want. So looking at it from a coaching perspective is how are you going to make the team and community feel about it too? So
Right.
sometimes that does come into it.
There's other factors.
Yeah.
So this is interesting to me what you said. So we're saying all things are equal, and so basically at the end of the season you would basically finish the same as if you started either quarterback. And I think it's a lot different decision. Like you're talking about the community. If you go 12-4 with the sophomore
It's a
quarterback,
long high school football schedule.
well, I'm
Playoffs too.
there's
16 games.
16 games.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if you go, 12-4 with the sophomore and 12-4 with the senior, I don't think you lose any community either way. But if all things being equal, and you go 4-6 with the sophomore and 4-6 with the senior, you miss the playoffs, you're sub 500 team, then I believe you could lose the fan base. So that's that's an interesting argument.
I think if you go 4-6 and you started the sophomore over the senior, you will lose a lot of support in the community.
Oh, I think if you're losing, that's swing back.
Yes,
I think. Sorry, my fault. I was just talking.
But if you went 4-6 with the senior, and they know that sophomore's still there coming up, there's hope.
Yeah, because next year's hope. Well, I'll save mine for a minute. I'd like to hear, Aaron, your answer to this question. By the way, a question many scholars have struggled with for years.
There's that short one.
People in the podcast don't know
I think the only way that I really can look at it is, if you put out your senior, that's after that season, that he's going to be done. If you put out the sophomore, say he gets hurt in the middle of the season, you don't know how much. You basically lose a whole year from him because he's not taking reps while he's getting on the healed up and stuff.
He's also not getting reps if he's backing up the senior either.
Well, no, he's still able to go to the practice.
Okay.
He's still able to work with through the plays.
That's fine.
Watch the games and go through film. Well, I guess no matter what, you can go through film.
Yeah.
But I would rather, knowing my senior was sitting there, I'd rather just put him out there, and if something happens to him, I guess that's the end. At least you gave him the shot of finishing, and you always have your sophomore there that's equally as good that can carry on. But I just see it as if you put your sophomore out there first, he loses that year that he was supposed to have, and then your senior's kind of like, from a motivational standpoint, he knows he was the second choice. I don't know. I just look at it as more of an injury thing. You lose a year with your sophomore if he gets hurt. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, that was great. I spent the last few days thinking about this, and you guys sort of covered just about everything that I thought on the topic. I think, for me, a really big deal is the message you're sending to the other kids. Because if you're a freshman or a sophomore or a junior, and, especially if you're a junior or senior, you have this dude, depending on how much they like him, who's starting to play quarterback, and then you bump up the sophomore and you throw that quarterback a bone and put him at tight end or receiver. I think those other guys see that, and I think they're like, okay, especially if you do it like twice and 3 times, like, hey, dude, just FYI, like, as soon as you're not usable to this coach, you're kind of done. I even think I will go so far as to say if there's a small drop-off in starting the senior, I would still start the senior because I think it's much more fair to that person. And I think you spend 4 years doing something. Troy, you play high school football. I don't know if y'all play high school football or not, but you can kind of spend your whole life doing that. Like, it's your whole high school life, and it's tied to this thing. And if your whole hope was to start for a year at quarterback, that's pretty devastating if it's not so much of a drop-off. Now, if you have some phenom, sorry, it's the way the world works. It's not a big difference. To me, the right thing to do as a person is to give this kid a chance. Be like, dude, and you can be honest. Hey, you're my senior. I trust you. I want you to play. You know that, Joey, the sophomore, is up and coming. And look, dude, if it turns out to be Joey, it's a starter, we'll find a good place for you, but I want you to give it a go.
You have to be transparent with your players. They have to know your decision-making.
Sure.
You can't just make decisions and not tell them why you're making those decisions.
And in high school, at least around here, your first couple of games are usually not district games.
Yeah.
So what a time to do it, I mean, what do
exactly.
you really have to lose? And on that, Aaron, I think, said with the injury thing, to me that's a big deal. Because if you tear an ACL as a sophomore, I don't know what you're coming back like.
Yeah.
And I know that as a junior and senior, you'll be better than you were as a sophomore, no matter what we do. I think the best quarterbacks in the NFL sat for a year. Brady sat for a while. Romo sat for a while. Romo sat for like a couple of years,
Aaron
right?
Rodgers sat for like
Aaron
4
Rodgers
years.
sat. I think this process, when you're a quarterback, of sitting for a year really, really helps that finished product. So for me, it's start the senior. But I think you all have valid points. Like Walt, you said some stuff I didn't even think about before. Troy, you're just a handsome guy, and I appreciate that. But no, that was my question, and I think we did a good job.
Yeah. I feel like this is a scenario that's pretty close to home.
For me, no, I don't.
Oh, this is just
No one's ever wanted me to play
not
anything.
You, not you. I'm just saying in town.
Yes, so a local townsman and I had this conversation.
Yeah.
He basically said a lot of what Walt said. I was kind of on the other side of it, but I thought it was a good question. Like, I don't think there's a very clear answer.
To me, there's not a right and a wrong. You know, again, it's all coming from perspective. Say, you know, I was thinking about it as Aaron was talking about. I was thinking about it related to flag football. You know, let's take senior and sophomore out of it.
Right.
But so let's say, like, as the showstoppers, I don't have Jake Diltz, but I've got Jason Williamson and Chris Cunningham. But let's say Chris Cunningham's 10 years younger than what he is now, and Jason Williamson's the same age.
Yeah.
And I'm going to win the same amount of games with Jason Williamson and Chris Cunningham because they're equally good quarterbacks.
Right.
You know, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like because Jason Williamson's only going to logistically be able to play for another 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, you know, at 35 years old.
Right.
Like, how many years do you have left? But a 25-year-old Chris Cunningham has a lot to go. So I think in the type of situation that you're in, you know, but I totally agree. You know, the situation was sophomore, senior.
Well,
high
it's
school.
an expiration date.
Right, yeah, sophomore, senior, and but it all goes down to being transparent with. I mean, I think you could, you know, you talk about the maturity in the senior, but if we're saying like literally all things being equal, the team likes the sophomore as much as they like the senior.
If that senior's an asshole and those kids are like, you know,
I'm
screw
saying all
this
things are
dude.
being
You're
equal.
right.
I'm saying all things being equal. I think, you know, there's ways to do it both ways and not lose the fan base or whatever. So it's just, but yeah, it is a selfish decision.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say from a coaching perspective, from being on that side of coaching, of seeing kids play, you gravitate toward some kids. This kid's a good leader. This kid he's an up-and-comer. He's good. He wants to be a leader. You see him trying very hard. And you see these kids in practice. You see the senior doing things, and you see the sophomore doing the same things. Like, oh, God, he can do that too. You're going to give that sophomore playing time. No matter, even if it's quarterback, it's the only position that they play. You can't play one of the running backs or a receiver spot. You're the quarterback. It's the only one on the field. You're going to give that senior the time, and then you're going to give that sophomore some time and may give him some more. If you see him doing the correct things, you're going to give him playing time. So that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be you're it. There's not going to be that many. There are some coaches that are stubborn and say, you're it, and that's it. But most coaches with a staff are going to say, okay, this is our guy for the year. He's going to be our guy. But we need to give this kid some reps, too, because he can really do some spectacular things. Let's give him some shots, too. And then, like I said, if you think the senior's not giving you what you want, and the sophomore's going to give you the same thing, you don't know, but you think he's going to give you the same thing, then you'll probably gravitate more towards the sophomore as the season progresses. You can't just be steadfast and this is what I'm doing and that's it, because you're not going to grow that way as a coach. That's how coaches lose, because they just stick with their thing. They don't change their team. They don't change their game plan around their players. They just say, we're going to run this. This is what I've been doing my whole life. This is what we're doing, no matter what their kids do. So you have to be able to. You're like water. You're fluid. You fit into whatever mold you get.
I'll say this real quick, and you know, I just thought of this. It's pretty interesting. You know, we talked about losing the fan base, and so I in my head, it generally felt like, well, screw the fans. You know, like if my coach, like who I want as coach of, like, everybody knows I'm from P&G. Say I want a P&G football coach. I would much rather care about team morale than what P&G fans think that are sitting in the stands, because, you know, what's that old saying? You care what the fans say, you'll end up sitting with them. So I'd rather want to coach to make a decision based on team morale versus fan morale. And I think that, and we both alluded to, you're going to lose the community and stuff like that. But I think that's, to me, like at the end of the day, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Also, you got to think of it like this: the fans are usually the friends and family of the players. Those kids on the field may be a good team together, but when they go home, those are the people they hear, and their kids are impressionable. They hear, and they're gonna so they hear those bad things from the parents. They trust their parents. They hear it from their friends, and they're like, "It's okay, you're right." Why it is so? That's what I'm saying. So it's because those kids are impressionable. They want to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
I think Aaron's like
Aaron's,
my
he's had
point
the
has
microphone.
already been
We just keep
made.
taking it. So you got. If you have something to say it, Aaron. Go ahead. There you go.
Well, no, I was just thinking like, is even the team chemistry equal no matter who's the quarterback? Because I know sometimes you get like a group of guys together, and they've played Pee Wee together, they played in middle school, and then all of a sudden you have maybe you're
Plays 2 years younger.
Yeah.
and so you've had Tommy throwing to, Johnny over here for the past 6 years, and then you throw this other guy in he doesn't know the tendencies. Is that a wrinkle that's
Well, hold on. If say your offensive line is full of younger guys, maybe they're young too, juniors and maybe a sophomore, maybe they're going to look up to that senior quarterback. That's our leader, or they're going to be like, hey, that's our guy, the sophomore. That's our guy. He's been with us forever. Why not him?
And it would be your job as the coach.
Yes, you have
to be like, look, guys.
That's why you have to be transparent. But Walt says he has an answer.
Go ahead, Walt.
I think the answer is that it can't be equal because we're debating, we're giving ourselves, well, you can't debate this stuff because this stuff is equal, but there's going to be some kind of determining factor that tips the scale to the sophomore and the senior, something. So it can't be equal across the board. It can't be, it's equal team morale, it's equal this, it's equal that, you're looking at things now. Now you can say equal athletic ability, and so I think the debate becomes on the other stuff. Is team morale, like has Joey been throwing to Troy Maddox since Pop Warner football, and that kind of stuff, and the cancer spreading at home where in the community translating back. So those are the things that tips the scales of justice that makes the decision for the coach.
And go ahead, Troy.
Another thing is, God, I just lost my thought. What I just had.
You missed it?
I just had it, and it was fleeting now.
You threw it to the other team.
God, no, I lost it now. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, there's obviously nothing will ever be completely equal. Somebody's better at something or whatever.
I got it back. Go ahead.
You got it back? Go ahead.
No, you're still going. I'll come back.
What my thought on all this is, and I really hope any high school coach would listen to this conversation. I know that our show is not exactly that popular, but this is a thought process that I don't think you would get to go through if you're the only person making the decision. Because I think when you talk to your assistant coaches and parents and everybody else, everybody kind of already has an axe to grind. But when you make it two people that, I'm imaginary people, you bring up a lot of other stuff that people don't think about. And Troy's point of transparency, I think, gets lost in that whole thing. Whereas if you look at it like we did with no real consequences of, we're not going to let somebody down or whatever, it makes it pretty clear of, okay, I can consider this, this, and this, and I can really do a plan going through of, look, dude, you're a senior. I love you. You've been playing with us forever. We have a young team. They've played with this guy for a long time. But we're going to give you a shot the first 2 or 3 games that aren't district. And if you do great, you do great. If you don't, I'll find a happy landing spot for you. You're an awesome athlete. And then we're going to go ahead and let the team advance from there. That, to me, is a much better option than the, screw you, we're going to go with younger guy and have a good life.
Here's another little wrinkle. The parent, the father. If the sophomore kid, if the senior's kid doesn't have, his father's not around, like he doesn't hang out around the practice or around everything all the time, but that sophomore kid's father's always hanging. He's like a helicopter. He's always there hanging around, trying to talk to the coaches and everything, acting like he's part of the thing. And then all of a sudden that sophomore's starting, and it makes it look like, well, he's just starting because his parents, his dad's always around doing it. It's
optics.
It's perception, all the optics, the perception of things.
And the only way to avoid all that is to be the sort of coach that doesn't entertain that sort of thing, which is hard. I
hard
mean,
to
that's
do.
really
It's
difficult.
hard to do.
Because those guys, they'll like hunt you down. You
Yeah.
know.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of parents, especially here in Lumberton, that they're not bad people. They're just extremely what I would consider involved. And you don't want to disappoint people, you know. And you don't want to make people mad that might control your future. But if you start off with this thing of, I'm not doing that, and then you make the really hard decision to not do it, knowing that your future might, you might not work there, it will benefit you later on.
Well, if you paint yourself in a corner by saying, I'm not going to do something, and then you end up having to do it, like circumstances make you have to do that thing
Yeah.
you said you're not going to do, that's why you can't ever deal in absolutes. You can never deal in absolutes.
I think that you could, well, as far as absolutes go, I think as a coach, you could say, I will never make a decision because a parent told me to.
Yeah.
Simple stuff like that. But you're right. Well, I thought that was an excellent discussion.
I liked it.
We
That was
did a good job.
We did.
Pat myself on my back right now. Okay. Aaron, you had some dynamite drop-ins and insight. Walt, you had a very differing point of view from what I started with, and I didn't even think about some of those things, so I thought it was excellent.
But
Troy?
see, you know what? Because we had a conversation about it. No one was. We were talking and.
Yeah, no one's mad.
Yeah. There was no like, oh, that's wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. You have all these opinions and everyone, and it melds together, and everyone agrees or disagrees at the end, and it's okay.
Well, I enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys. We had a good time at the tournament this weekend. Oh, almost forgot. The fall season will start September 26, 2021, so mark your calendar. We'll put the sign-up stuff on the website soon.
First responders
and-
tournament, November.
Oh, first responders tournament is November. Hang on, let me fire up the old calendar here. Did I say 20th? Saturday, November 20th, 2021, we'll do the first responders tournament. We're going to try to get some little events out there, cooking and other little booths. So if you're not a first responder and you just want to come show your support and eat some food and have a good time, we want you guys to come out. And
That first responders tournament is a donation to the 100 Club of.
we're either
Southeast
going to do the
Texas.
100 Club or a scholarship fund. I'm not sure which one we're
Yeah,
going to do
either
this year.
way,
But
but
we're going to
it's all
donate
a
to charity.
donation, yeah.
So we look forward to seeing all of you, and I wish you all the success.
Hashtag don't, and good luck.